My name is Emma Smith, and I will be discussing idols of the heart. In a world driven by identity, control, and fulfillment, the heart often becomes a battleground. It's where idols, those false desires and misplaced priorities, begin to rise. These idols are not just golden calves or carved statues. They can be anything we place above God: our ambitions, relationships, and even our sense of control. The Apostle Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians 8:6, "Yet for us there is but one God, the Father, from whom all things came and from whom we live." When we place anything above him, we distort his image within us. Genesis 1:27 says we are made in God's image, meant to reflect his nature. But when idols take root, that reflection shatters, like a mirror broken by sin. The Bible also warns us about the nature of the heart. It cannot be neutral. Proverbs 3:5-6 tells us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." That's hard, because the heart wants what it wants. But the truth is, we can never fully trust our hearts. They are prone to pride, envy, and self-deceit. According to Webster's 1828 dictionary, idolatry is the worship of idols, images, or anything made by the hands of which is not God. And let's be honest, in today's world, we're not short on idols. We chase things like security, success, and the praise of others, often forgetting that these things can never provide lasting peace. Elise Fitzpatrick, a respected biblical counselor, once wrote, "God created us to be worshipers, and if we do not worship him, we will worship something else." The heart doesn't stop worshiping. It just redirects its focus. That is why idolatry is so dangerous. It's not a sin. It's not just a sin. It's a substitution. In Romans 1:25, Paul explains how people exchange the truth about God for a lie and worship created things rather than the Creator. Pastor Kyle Idleman echoes this in his book, Gods at War, saying, "Idolatry isn't just about worshiping false gods. It's about worshiping anything that takes the place of God. That could be money, a relationship, or even ourselves. And when we try to root our identity in those things, Kevin DeYoung, a respected pastor and theologian, echoes this in his book, Impossible Christianity. The danger of idolatry is that it doesn't just break the first commandment. It distorts the very essence of who we are. We weren't created to carry the weight of being our own gods. That is why it breaks us. In Exodus 24, God commands, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image." Theologian Matthew Henry said, "Even the worship of good things becomes sinful when they replace perfect reverence for God." Idolatry distracts us from God's transcendent and relational nature and turns our worship towards the material. Humans, not idols, were made in the image of God. Psalms 8 beautifully reminds us that God crowned humanity with glory and honor. That makes our calling serious. We were made to reflect God's goodness, not to chase shadows of it in temporary things. Money, power, and pleasure have become our golden calves. John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, and J.P. Morgan were some of the most influential businessmen in American history. Their relentless pursuit of wealth defined industry. J.P. Morgan once said, "Money equals business, which equals power." But in reality, true security comes not from money, but from Christ. Secular thinkers have also tried to redefine fulfillment. Ayn Rand, founder of objectivism, argued that economic and fulfilling self-interest are the highest virtue. Friedrich Nietzsche believed power, not humility, was the key to human greatness. But these views only serve to separate us from our dependence on God. Something else that has been taken out of God's design is sex, as it has been used as a tool for emotional fulfillment. Sigmund Freud believed that sexual desire is the core of human motivation. And while emotional connection is important, when we look to pleasure to satisfy our deepest needs, we replace God's role in our lives. These things do offer temporary satisfaction. That's what makes them so tempting. But they don't last, and more importantly, they don't save. Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can know it?" When pride, envy, and deceit take root, we drift from Christ. Pride is what cast Lucifer out of heaven. Envy is what led Cain to murder Abel. And Pharaoh's hardened heart brought destruction to Egypt. These aren't just Bible stories, they're warnings. But there's hope. Ezekiel 36:26 offers a promise. "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you." Through Christ, we can be renewed. Through prayer, repentance, and accountability, we can guard our hearts. And through community, surrounding ourselves with other believers, we sharpen one another. Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." This isn't just a poetic phrase. It's a call to intentional relationships. Just like iron blades become sharper when rubbed together, our character, our convictions, and even our clarity of purpose become stronger through godly friendships. God designs us for community because we weren't meant to fight these battles alone. Accountability with other believers doesn't just help us resist temptation, it helps us grow into the images of Christ together. In conclusion, the battle against idolatry is not a one-time fight. It's a daily decision to examine the heart, reject the lies of the world, and root ourselves in the truth of God's authority. Every day, we choose to place God first, pushing back against the pull of flesh, and take one step closer to becoming who we were created to be, reflections of His image. That is where true fulfillment, identity, and peace are found. Thank you.